Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Abraham Chair was my name. I'm going to take you through a presentation from the Department of Transport. It's going to be a very short presentation. We will tell you about the department, how we operate, and also we'll go into our agencies briefly. And then I will talk about projects that we think can stimulate or contribute to industrialization. And thereafter, I'll just show you what is happening in the department in terms of policy, which might also be of support to the work that you do out there with regards to transport as a whole, but mainly focusing on industrialization. But we'll talk to our challenges and also what we are proposing as possible interventions to that. So as the Department of Transport, we've got a mandate that we get out of the Constitution, which allow us to do what we do. And we also work across various modes of transport. We work on aviation, maritime, also road transport as a whole, and infrastructure development. So the Department of Transport is mainly a policy and legislation department because we've got various entities across the country that help us to achieve our objectives. So the slide that you see there is the slide that we are using mainly to introduce the department. Wherever we go, we're saying that maybe starting with our vision, transport is the heartbeat of economic growth and social development. And we've got our mission there, which is the Department of Transport aims to lead the development of efficient, integrated transport systems by creating a framework of sustainable policies, regulators, and implementable models to support government strategies for economic, social, and international development. In here, we think that we cover everything to do with what we are here about today, like in terms of economic growth, economic development, and also issues of sustainability, looking at environment and also social needs of the people of our country. So as a Department of Transport, we've got about 12 agencies that we use to implement our mandate. I'm going to start off from the road side. And also the department, the way it's structured, we've got about 6 line function branches in the department. We also have the 7th branch that is a support branch that is helping all of us to do what we do. So from the road branch side, we work with about 5 agencies that help us do our work. We've got SANRAL, majority of you might know about SANRAL, and also we've got Road Accident Fund, we've got Cross-Border Road Transport Agency, and we've got the RTMC, Road Traffic Management Corporation, and the last one is RTIA, Road Transport Infringement Agency. And then these are the agencies that help us do our work. SANRAL is responsible for helping us with the national roads, and then we'll talk more about it as we go along. And then in terms of rail, we've got PRASA and also Rail Safety Regulator. And with regards to aviation, we've got South African Civil Aviation Authority, ATNS, and also AXA, and then maritime is SAMSA and Ports Regulator of South Africa. So we're just using too much abbreviations, you'll pardon me. But in the presentation, they are also mentioned in detail. There's one agency that is also new in the department. It's called National Public Transport Regulator. Is working on ensuring that they regulate transport with regards to public transport. They are working from the department currently. And then there are other agencies in the country that we work closely with, which are not necessarily within the Department of Transport. We've got Border Management Agency, which is managed by Home Affairs. And then Transnet also is a very important agency to us. We are their policy department, but they report to the Department of Public Enterprises. And also SAA is one of the transport agencies, but it reports to National Treasury. But they get policy directives from the Department of Transport. And Transnet also freight and logistics there, as well as National Post Authority and SARS, of course, and the CSIR. So always our partner when it comes to issues of research and so on in transport. So we're going to try and speak to projects in the department generally, broadly, but we come from roads branch of the department. So this is our mandate as road branch of the department. As you probably are aware, most of what we do is not only done at national level. We coordinate work that is done across the 3 spheres of government, local government, provinces, as well as ourselves sitting at national office. So these are our guiding principles that we use. We are currently working on a white paper on national transport, which is being reviewed. It has been there for quite a while. And we've got the road infrastructure strategic framework also in the department that guides us how to manage road network in the country. And of course, like I said earlier on, we take our mandate from the Constitution. In this slide, we're not going to talk about everything, just showing you that the road agencies that I spoke about, what do they do, and then from there we'll be able to go into projects, and then we'll take it from there, and how are they funded. And then all of our agencies are guided by legislation. And then with regards to road traffic infringement agencies, mainly about law enforcement and also how to collect the fines that people are given on a regular basis out there. So their main function is to make sure that that is looked after, that function. And then Road Traffic Management Corporation, they also are founded on a legislation. Their main role is to cooperate, to coordinate law enforcement in the country, also with regards to road safety and other regulatory matters like the e-notice and so on. And of course, SANRAL is mainly about looking after the national road transport or national road network in the country. And this one is cross-border, also helping us with how we coordinate law enforcement with regards to cross-border, and of course road accident fund administering claims that are lodged by victims of road accidents. And then passenger rail agency of PRASA, looking after rail services in the country, and then they've got a regulator that is looking after whatever they're doing, whether they're doing it accordingly. And these are our civil aviation agencies. We've got this one here, South African Civil Aviation Authority, ensuring that everything in aviation is done accordingly. And this one controlling the traffic, ATNS, and the last one is Airports Company of South Africa, looking after our airports and so on in terms of the infrastructure. And then this one is Maritime, for only two there, SAMSA and Ports Regulator of South Africa. So from here on, I'm going to go into the projects and then just showing you projects that have been done in the transport sector by various agencies, and some of them will follow the department to say these are the projects that are, from our point of view, will be stimulating industrialization or at least contributing towards industrialization, economic development, and also job creation. So we've got a project called Molodo Road Development, which falls under SIP 1. I've seen that they've shown you the SIPs there, which is part of the infrastructure development in the country. This is going to be a very, in terms of investment, a very expensive project to carry out. It's about 4.5 billion rand. So what we are estimating is that it's going to create about 12,500 jobs. So you can see the breakdown there, because it's a project that cut across 3 provinces, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and Gauteng. So we're saying to all of you who happen to be having an interest in being part of Moloto, SANRAL is running with this project. It's always open in terms of the opportunities that are available. You can check with them and see what you can benefit. There are various opportunities reserved for small black-owned businesses across the country, only in those 3 provinces, and the thinking is that maybe about 30% would be spent on those companies. And the other project that we can talk about is the Wild Coast Highway, which is in the Eastern Cape, between Eastern Cape and KZN, from East London to eThekwini. This one also falls under what we call SIP3, Southeastern Node and Corridor Development. This is they're going to be working on the N2 highway. So this project cost about 8.5 to 9 billion rand. So it's also a massive project, also looking to make 30% of procurement available to emerging medium-sized businesses. And then also still on the road programs or projects, we have another program called Sihamba Sonke Road Maintenance Program. This program is done in collaboration with provinces. It's mainly about road rehabilitation across provinces. Ourselves as Department of Transport, we mainly manage the funding of it, but the work is done at provincial level. It's going up, in terms of investments, about 34 billion rand over MTF period. As you can see, the numbers on this particular project is it's one lucrative project if you look at it from business point of view. So some provinces are already in the bracket of 1 billion, while others are in millions. So it's a very, very project that provinces use it to stimulate economic opportunities in their provinces. The contractor development program across provinces also benefit from this one. They've got various names across the provinces of the systems that they use, Ibambele, Funduli Shaka in Limpopo and many other names. So they use this program to make sure that the local businesses benefit. So you can also take advantage of this one. There's another program that is being implemented by PRASA. It's called Rolling Stock Fleet Renewal Program. This program is about 123 billion. It's going to go over 20 years. So also you can see breakdown of what we think companies will benefit from there. There's another one linked to PRASA as well called refurbishment of existing fleet. All these projects that I'm mentioning from PRASA side are currently underway. So if you are interested, you can follow up and see what is happening there and see how best can you benefit as a business. And also in terms of manufacturing, I think there is a plant that is currently running or is going to be running shortly in Niger. So it's going to be also one of the projects that is going to manufacture the wagons as they've mentioned earlier on in the presentations before this one. These slides talk to what has been done in aviation in terms of construction at the airports. So those are the projects that are happening there, breakdown of them, and also the investment of about 38 million over a medium-term period. This one is a program also that is spearheaded by our aviation branch in the Department of Transport. It's mainly a strategy that is looking after transformation from aviation point of view. It's going to address all of those issues that you see there, access to skills, access to training, review of current funding model, and so on and so forth. That is something that we use also as we develop the department and making sure that everybody gets an opportunity to benefit from the economy. Lastly, on the maritime side, we are informed by the oceans economy, the new Operation Pagisa. What is it that's going to be happening there? There are a number of projects that are being implemented in that area. There will be a project in maritime transport and manufacturing. And these are programs that are run by the Transnet National Ports Authority. And also there is one that talks to construction and also communication technologies in the maritime sector. So this is also done by our Transnet colleagues. And lastly, there's marine tourism. SAMSA play a role there as well as NDT. This is what is happening now in the marine environment. So everybody, whoever is interested, can also make follow-ups. So as the department, we're not necessarily implementers, but we are working with our colleagues across the country in various agencies. This is one project that we are also implementing in the department. Is popularly known as BRTs across various municipalities. We are currently supporting about 13 municipalities in the urban areas. And also we've expanded the program to include municipalities in rural areas. There are currently 2 pilot programs, one in the OR Tambo municipality and the other one in Bojanala municipality in the Northwest province. So they are also looking at possibilities of coming up with public transport network that is not necessarily a BRT, but something that is all-inclusive. So those are the investments that the department is going to be pushing through to municipalities over the medium-term period. So if you are in those cities, you are interested in also benefiting from the investments of government, you can check with them and see how best can you assist. They are looking at various technologies like ticketing technologies, and also the fleet that they purchase these days, they're looking at possibility of having them not emitting too much carbon dioxide into the air. So we're also taking care of environment from that side. And as a Department of Transport, we're not only working alone, we work with other departments of government. Like we've got relationships with Department of Cooperative Governance and Regional Affairs because they've got a municipal infrastructure support agent there. They are looking at roads and stormwater. They've got a program that they implement across municipalities. We support them, and then we are chairing a roads and stormwater work stream. And then the other program that I spoke about, the contractor development program, is a program that we implement also from the Department of Transport, but it is something that is coming from Department of Public Works. It's mainly a construction program, but we've got a role that we're playing in there. And then we're also working closely with the private sector. We just want to indicate that we've got a relationship with mining sector. We work with them in terms of supporting the coal haulage network that they use, because sometimes it gets damaged, and then we make funding available to make sure that it is well looked after in terms of maintenance. This is mainly happening in Mpumalanga because a lot of this coal haulage happens there. In the department also, we've got a unit there that works on the BEE. So they've got various subsectors. They're working on BEE charters. So most of what you see there are the areas of work that they are developing the charters for, and then we're informed that they are now, most of them are at at draft stages, but they're also working with private sector. If you happen to be coming from one of the areas that I've shown, you may want to know who's driving the process so that you can get involved and make your inputs and make sure that your concerns are covered. This one, we're just showing you to say, in terms of legislation in the department, we've got various developments. There's a national rate policy. This one is approved by cabinet for public comments, so they are out there taking comments from interested parties and stakeholders. And we've got one that talks to comprehensive maritime policy, also is approved. And there's the other policy or strategy called Green Transport Strategy, which talks to issues of environment and also how transport can make sure that whatever we do does not really harm the environment. This one is also out for public comments. If you are interested, you can do the same. And those are various others. And we've got the roads policy also from our side. This one is also in cabinet, waiting for them to give us a green light to go out and start consulting with the public for comments. And the rest, you can also just have a look at them. And another one that I want to mention is that SANRAL, they've just issued a transformation policy. It's also out there. They are taking public comments on it. So if you're interested, you can look it up on their website. It's something that they've just introduced. They are of the view that they really need to take transformation to the next level. It looks like out of the spend, they want to make sure that 50% go to emerging companies. We've got challenges as a transport sector, and also mainly ourselves as roads in terms of funding. So we are struggling to keep our roads in the levels that we want to keep them in terms of quality. So as a Department of Transport, working with on the draft roads policy, we are looking at various funding options. Although we get funding from National Treasury, but that is not enough. I think currently we are sitting at about 197 billion backlog, so we want to change that. And then if you look at the roads policy that I'm talking about, they are looking at various funding options, fuel levy, licenses, and also tolling. So all of these funding options are looked at, and the advantages and disadvantages and recommendations are made for us to decide on how best can we fund the roads. And also we look at inputs from government, from other spheres of government like local government and provinces. You might find that what we think is a good funding model at national level might not be the same at provincial or municipal level. So they're also going to be giving us inputs into that. And of course, we are working closely with the private sector on BOT approaches on how we implement our programs. I think most of you are aware that most of our end roads that are tolled, we're using concessions in them, but we also want to be creative into how best can we use road reserves. We have seen, like in cities like Cape Town, they make sure that they really collect money for parking. So other cities can also think about something similar. And then we're looking at other options of public-private partnership to see which one can work for all of us. And another challenge that we're having is transformation. But from what I said, I think you can see what we're trying to do as a Department of Transport to make sure that that is addressed. And in terms of policies, I think here the main problem comes from, like road safety, for example. We're struggling there in terms of compliance to traffic laws. So we need to make sure that we increase oversight and we make sure that people comply. And transport as a sector also, especially the technical side of it, we've realized that we are battling in terms of skills government-wide, including municipalities and provinces. So there we're going to try and assist in terms of how best can we bring the technical skills into the public sector. Thank you very much.